So everyone, I want to say, hey, today is Saturday, the first Saturday of the month. We're at 12 o'clock, and this is our time for Courageous Conversations, the Fireside Chat. This is the place where we have difficult conversations, challenging. We talk about things that people generally don't tend to talk about because whatever, you may not feel comfortable doing it, but this is the space for us to do it. It's a safe space for us to have these kinds of conversations. And I just want to say thank you. Welcome to joining us. And I just want to thank you for being here. So I'm recording this for people because last year, I think when I first started, I didn't record them because of the sensitivity of what we were discussing, but I've decided that I would start recording them. So if you hadn't been on since last year, even though it's May, I just want you to know I am recording these calls so that we could just hold them. And if someone needs to hear them again at some point, you can always request access. All right, that being said, let me say this is the month of May. And in the month of May, one of the things that I think is important is that we discuss and celebrate moms. And with that, I want to actually introduce my guest, who is Tiffany Huling-Broadous. But before that, let me talk a little bit about some things that are going on in the Courageous Conversations, in the Courageously Alive community, because there are some things that are going on. By the time we're done, I'm going to let Tiffany talk about what's going on in her community. And so I just want to get this stuff out there so that you know, just in case. One of the things is next month, we're having the next Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat. It takes place June, I think it's June the 4th or something. It's a dance party, really. And we're going to celebrate Black Music Month. And I have my special guest, Mike Griot. I've known him for years and years and years. Whenever I need information about music, I always turn to Mike because he's the guy with the answer. He's a music producer and he has all the answers. The other thing is we are talking about Mother's Day, Mother's Month, but I also want to say that there are people who struggle around this time. And if that's you, that's what you're dealing with, then I want to include a program that I'm offering. It's Restore Your Peace or Reclaim Your Peace from Mommy Pain. And you can always register, sign up, register. We start in June, the first week of June, and we're going to go from there. And I think that for people who have it's going to be a phenomenal thing because it helps you to heal from that particular space. Now, that being said, let me jump back to my girl. This is Tiffany Broadous. And I want to say, hey, welcome, Tiffany.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to introduce you by talking about different things, talking about you really, and who you are, what you do, so that people really have an understanding of who you are. First of all, you're a wife. And
Yes.
how long have you been married?
Way long. 20 since 1997. So 26.
Oh, wow. You're coming up on that 30-year mark and
Yeah.
a few more years, 30 years. That's good. And then you have 5 children.
I do.
How old are your children?
They are aged 12 to 26.
12 to 20. 5 of them. 5. You have a job, you're a professional. What kind of work do you do?
Right now, I manage a team of project managers and program managers in the healthcare industry.
In the healthcare industry. And you have started a business, an entrepreneur. You're doing your entrepreneurial pursuit, and it's Working Mom's Dream. So tell us about Working Mom's Dream and what is it? Why? What is it? Tell me what it is.
So it's a coaching business. I also do consulting, but my idea behind it is to help working moms learn that they can dream while they're doing all the other stuff. Just because you became a mom doesn't mean that you stop your dreaming. If you want to build legacy, and legacy to me is the things that you give to your children that nobody can take from them. The knowledge, the experience, yes, wealth, of course, generational wealth, but that knowledge, nobody can take that from them. And so if you aren't dreaming, then they don't get it because they do everything they see us do more than they hear us say or tell them to do.
Right.
So it's important to recognize as a mom, it took me till I was 35 and how many children later, I don't even remember how many I had at the time. But it's when I realized it was so important that I keep dreaming so that they have options, so that they're not just on the hamster wheel trying to figure out, I have to do this, I have to do that. Well, no, you have options and you can do other things. And my oldest one is doing that. And
Awesome.
it's beautiful to see. And so I want to really help those, whether they're new moms, moms to be, working moms, empty nest moms. If you have stopped dreaming, this is the place for you to be, to learn and be able to dream again, and know that it's okay to dream again and to live your dreams and take care of you first.
Take care of you first.
Hello.
On the airplanes, when you go fly, the first thing they tell you is put your mask on first before
Yep.
you put on the mask of anyone else. And it's so that you survive. No matter what, you're going to be able to take care of them because you're able to breathe. You can breathe, you can
Yes.
help other people breathe, and everyone keeps breathing,
And
right?
they learn how to do it too, because they
Right.
see you doing it.
They see you do it. So let me say this. It's, you hear that you can't have it all, right? I mean, I've heard that for years, that you can't be a mom, you can't have a successful business, you can't have a successful job, you can't be married, all these things. You hear it often that you can't have it all. And yet it looks like you do. What would you say to that?
It's not perfect. If you're
Awesome.
waiting for it to be perfect, get over it. It's not going to happen. There's going to be days where this part of your life is good and this part of your life is like, oh crap. So don't expect perfection is all I can say. Is don't expect perfection, because it's not real.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I think that takes, for people who can buy into that, it relieves the pressure of trying to do everything and trying to be perfect at every single thing. Because I think there's this perspective or perception that mothers have to be not only the nurturer, the person who guides, the person who takes kids to school, the person who feeds them, the person who goes to work nowadays. Because, once upon a time, mom stayed at home, but now you go to work, you come home, you cook, you keep the house clean, you keep your husband satisfied, you do. And what you're saying is, it doesn't have to be perfect, but what does that mean?
It can't be perfect. It can't be perfect, because then you're going to be miserable. You're not going to be you, because you're trying to make everything else around you perfect and everybody else around you happy. And then you have an internal struggle that's saying, hey, what about my dreams? What about that purpose that I had? What about that? And it's going to keep nagging at you.
Right.
And you're going to have that internal struggle, which is not good for your health, number
Right.
one.
Right.
So you have to be okay with imperfection, because sometimes things just don't go the way you expect them to, in every aspect, right?
Right.
But I think moms ourselves, just because of the culture we were raised in, or the environment, or the school, or the church, or the whatever, have told us to do these things this way, and this is what you do, and this is how you do it. But you have to decide and make decisions along the way that say, what's important to me? What do I value? Right? So that you minimize or eliminate that internal struggle of, what do I want versus what are they telling me I should do? Right? Are they really your dreams, or are they somebody else's?
Else's dreams. That's good. That's good. How were you able to get to the point where you're comfortable with that? Because everyone does it. Everyone struggles. Many people struggle around that. How were you able to get comfortable with it?
I think it took different areas at different times. So like my work life, I made a decision. I decided it's important for me to have flexibility, right? If I'm taking a job in corporate America, I have to have flexibility. That's non-negotiable for me. And that was just one thing. After I had children, I just had to have that. And so that's one way I dealt with it. There were still things that I could pursue, but I would also come to the table with, what's the flexibility like? That's at the top of my question list, right? Outside of benefits and all the other basic stuff, what's my flexibility like? Can I work from home? This is even before the pandemic. And what does that look like for you? And how comfortable are you with it? Because if you're not, then this may not be the right fit for me.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. What's amazing, what's interesting with, I'm going to let you finish, is that
Mhm,
you have decided there's a step of power in that. You have taken power over even your work environment, saying this is what it takes for it to work for me. And if it doesn't work for you that way, then this is probably not a good fit.
mhm.
How were you able to get that? What made it so important for you that you decided that that's what you had to do?
For me, it was having that first child and knowing that as a programmer, as a systems applications engineer in the lab all the time, I couldn't just be in the lab all day. I had timelines, right? I had to pick up the kids. My husband used to drop them off. I would pick them up. So I couldn't stay there till 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night anymore. I had to be out of there and get in traffic and be there to pick them up at a certain time. So it made me adjust how I was viewing things, because before we had kids, we were both working 10, 12-hour days like crazy
Mhm,
people, right?
mhm.
And then I got pregnant and I was like, okay, it's time to find something else, because I can't continue programming and traveling and doing all these things and be the type of mother I would like to be.
Right,
And
right.
so I had to adjust and
Yeah.
figure out what that looked like next.
So, in being the type of mother that you like to be, was that based on what you had seen even with your own mother?
Some of it, yes, but a lot of it was different than her, right? Because she was a single mom
Okay.
of 3. And so I got so much from her. I had to tone some of that down because I was like, I got this. I don't need this. I don't need that. And it's not a matter of need, it's a matter of partnership.
Right.
And so I had to adjust what I learned, because you learn what you see, what you experience,
Model that. Yes.
and whether you like it or not, that's what
Yeah.
comes out, right?
Yeah.
Until you identify it and then go, okay, how do I adjust this so that it's better?
Right.
Because my
Exactly.
situation is different than my mother's, right? And what does that need to look like for me, for us?
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So, one of the things is, you and I have talked briefly about the need for people to really honor their dreams. And it sounds like even in moving towards working mom's dream as your business, is that a dream that you had for yourself?
I knew I wanted to do something other than just be in corporate America forever.
Hmm.
I needed something that was mine, that I controlled, that um, and helped others, because I love helping people. I love coaching. I do it all the time on in corporate America, just naturally.
Hmm.
So and especially with women who I work with, that are on some of my teams, that don't have the confidence or have less confidence than I think they should, because I can see the brilliance in them. And I'm
Hmm.
like, "You got this," right? And you're just coaching, you're mentoring, you're encouraging, and it was just natural. So, and just to share the things that I've learned along my journey. So if there's moms out there that are under 35 or under whatever age, they learn the things that I did before then.
Right, right, right,
So they
right.
don't have to get 35 and then go and the light bulb comes on, right?
Well, let me ask you a question about that. It's interesting you say you don't have to get to 35, but is it true? And I'm trying to lead you somewhere, but so you could tell me if this is true for you or not. Is it true though that you have to see what you don't want before you really can recognize what you do want and be able to say, I've seen this, I saw this rather, and or I even experienced this, and I've decided, I may like aspects of it, but I don't really like that, which pushes you to look for the other things that you really, really do want. Would you say that you have to go through that process?
I don't know if you have to go through that process in self experience, but my experience watching some of the executives that I worked with early in my career and how they managed and their journey through their children, raising their children. Some of them had nannies. That was not my lifestyle. So I knew that's not happening, right? It's good for you, but it's not good for me, right? And so I think you learn from what you see, and maybe you consider that an experience, but to
Okay.
me, that wasn't a personal experience that I did that or tried it and then decided that's not for me. It was just like, that was just a no-go from start,
In the
you know?
beginning, you're like, "Probably not."
Absolutely not. I
So,
barely let my children stay with my mom and my sisters. So having somebody else take care of them is like, yeah,
no,
no. But I'm all for it if that's your lifestyle, and that's your choice. And that's what I said at the beginning about you have to make decisions, but you have to be recognize that you're the decision maker.
how would you recommend, especially given the pressures that mothers have to perform in a certain way or to show up in a certain way, how would you suggest that mothers to be actually begin to take ownership of their own dreams, their own decisions in this area and in this space without being influenced by what they see externally, socially, or even by what you hear at church, by what you see externally, by what you see on television, by what people are telling you in they're in your ear, by what your parents, your grandparent, your mom, your grandmom, your great grand, what they did. How are you able to make that decision or make those decisions for yourself?
First, you have to really recognize that there is a difference between what someone else told you and what your heart says you desire.
Mhm.
And to me, that's the biggest thing, is making time to be with yourself and figure out who you desire to be, who you desire to show up as.
Mhm.
And is that really the person you desire to show up as, or is that the person your grandmother wanted you to be, or your
Right.
grandfather wanted you to be, or your mom said, this is who you should be, or your dad said, no, you got to go this way and you have to do it this way. Um, but you have to make that time for yourself. You have to carve out that time, and be with yourself and journal. I mean, for me, that helps a whole lot, is journaling. But just that quiet time with no distractions, whether it's going for a walk or going to sit at your favorite coffee shop, or like going to the restaurant like you and I did when you were
Mhm.
here. I
Mhm.
go there and read a book,
Right.
right? And it just gives you time to be with your own thoughts, which may not be your thoughts, and you may recognize it in that time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And write it down. When things come to you, I keep a journal by my bed. So if I wake up with something, I'm writing in it.
Yeah.
And then I process it through the day or through the week and figure out, okay, what does that mean? And what direction am I going today? Or I'll be driving somewhere just for a drive because the scenery's so beautiful here. It just takes you out of the everyday day-to-day stuff and gives you some space to
Right.
think.
To process.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. We're talking about you being influenced or choosing to make a difference or to decide differently than what you've been taught. How do you as a mother avoid superimposing your dreams and your ideas on your children? I'll tell you why I asked that question, because I have a friend who has a daughter who's in college who's always like, she needs to do this. And I keep telling her, and I keep saying, look, let her do what she's interested in. And we go like this when it comes to that, because I'm all for people doing what they feel led to do. It doesn't mean that you have to do what someone else tells you, but you really have to honor your own heart's desire. And what I find is that sometimes with some parents, they're just so insistent that it show up and that their children turn out the way that, oh, I see an AKA up here. I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not there yet, but I will get an AKA in the room, that they're insistent that it happens their way. How do you avoid superimposing your dreams and ideas on your children?
I think when they're younger, we do have to give them something, right?
Mhm.
A box.
Yeah.
But as they grow older, you've given them all the tools that they need, or at least the tools that you have to give them, right? Because sometimes we know something and then we learn something better. So you give them the tools that they need. For me, I'm giving you options and I'm asking questions.
Mhm.
I'm always asking questions, not because, I want you to think. I
Yeah.
want you to think for yourself, not just what I prefer, because it may not be what you prefer. Um,
Okay, this is
hey
one of
there,
your
line
line
sisters,
sisters.
both
That's what
of
it
them.
said.
Yes, both of them.
Okay, all right, line sisters. I'm glad you're here to support Tiffany.
Oh, and so to me, it's questioning, and it's sitting
Uh-huh.
down and having a real dialogue to say, okay, if you do this, this is what I see, right? What is your intention? And you don't have to answer me, but you need to figure that out. What's
Mhm.
your intention? And just kind of going along the way. And then they'll ask questions, and then we'll dialogue some more and get through it that way, not just because I was told all the time, go to school, get a good job, get a government job, and retire from there. That
Yeah.
was what I was told from my grandparents, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what they did.
Right.
And I was like, that's not me. And he would tell me, my grandfather, I love him, love him, love him. But he would tell me, Tiffany, you're never going to keep a job like that. You can't go in whenever you want and leave whenever you want. I was like, well, then that's not the job for me, Grandpa. Right.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, but we used to sit at the dining room table in this house that I'm in right now and have these kind of conversations.
Mhm.
But I was the one, according to my cousins, that always got us in trouble because I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that."
I'll tell you, my mother used to call it dancing to the beat of your own drum. When I would complain sometimes, oh, well, my friends are doing this, but I don't do that. She says, you've always danced to the beat of your own drum. Don't worry about that. Just do what you're going to do. And it sounds like that's what has happened with you. Even you got
Well,
everyone.
that's part of how my mother was. So it's learned.
Right.
What can I say?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I think that's amazing. That's an awesome place to be. So let me tell you, you have an idea of what I talk about with people and in my coaching practice.
Mm.
And one of the things I talk about often is people who have difficult relationships with their moms. Because it sounds like for you, one of the ways that you're able to, one of the benefit, well, one of the ways that you're able to share with your children and take in what they're saying and give them back what they need is because you are a mother who seems to be very engaged. What
Definitely.
would you do, or what would you suggest for people who may be struggling in that space? Maybe they're not that kind of mother. Maybe that just wasn't their charge. Maybe that's just not how they're showing up. Or maybe someone actually here as a mother didn't have a mother like that. What would you think, or what would you say is a way to help navigate that particular space?
Ooh, that's a hard one, Tanya. You always get me with the hard ones. Um,
I know you have the answer.
for me, I'm always looking for help, right? When I know that there's something that's not like I would like for it to be, I'm seeking out and asking the universe, asking God, asking whoever your source of, um, you know, support is. How do I navigate this?
Mhm.
What do I need to do? Where do I go? And I'm reading books. I love to read books.
Mhm.
And I love to do calls like this with one-on-one coaching or something like that to find out, how do I navigate this? And but you have to have that desire to do it and be open to the options that may show up. Um, if that's really truly your desire for me. And that's me. And so I was asking questions to about something. I don't remember what it was, but a book came that,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, okay, I can
Yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah.
And so it just depends. I may be sitting in church somewhere and maybe not paying attention to the minister or whoever's up on stage, but I'm journaling or I'm writing because things are coming to me so fast, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, and then my answers are coming, right?
Yes.
Or I'm driving down the street and I'm like, oh, I got to pull over because I need to write this down,
Right.
or I need to pull over. But the answers come, one in one way or another, but you have to be knowing that you asked the question and expecting the answer.
And expecting the answer. I like that. I like that. So this topic really is about stop waiting. Stop waiting. It's time for you to do you. And when we talked about this particular topic, you talked about your father. You shared a story about your father and about him and kind of putting his dreams off. Share that story now and let's talk about what that means and why that became so important to you.
Well, I think he was the dad that he took care of everybody around him. He had 5 siblings, and was always there for everybody, including me and my brother. Right, always, always, always. I mean, he had dreams of playing the guitar. He had dreams of um, being a dentist, but a lot of that didn't materialize because he was doing other things. His most important thing in his life, every time I talked to him, was making sure that me and my brother were okay. That became the most important thing, nothing else,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so I think in some ways it's nice, but I also would like for him to have just totally enjoyed his life. And I don't know if he did. I think he did at the end, but I think he didn't get to do all the things that he desired to do. And I would like to do that myself, is really enjoy the life and live it, be present, be fully present and enjoy it. And
Mhm.
I don't remember our whole dialogue. So if I missed something,
Oh,
remind
no,
me.
no, 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 that's fine. That's fine. You and I talked, but it was the motivation for crafting this particular conversation. And so, given that, what you're saying about your dad, how much of it do you take as avoidance? And it may not be intentional, but it might be avoiding the responsibility of really honoring this dream or this idea or these wishes that you would have. How much of it is avoidance?
I'm not sure what you're asking me, Tanya.
So if let me give you another example. I have
Okay.
several friends who have children and grandchildren, and they did everything for their children. It sounded like they lived their lives with their children the way that your father lived his life for you and your brother. But now that the children are grown, there's grandchildren, it's like, oh, now I get to focus on my grandchildren, as opposed to focusing on those deepest desires and dreams that they have, which to me is why I'm saying how much of it is about I'm just focusing on them because I really want to make sure they're okay. And how much of it is I'm just avoiding maybe out of fear or some other things. And it's not a good or bad thing. It's just a question.
You know what? I don't know how much of it is. I think a lot of times as moms, we tend to, I'll do that when.
Hmm.
I'll do that when. I'll do that when the children are out of school. I'll do that when I retire. I'll do that when I make more money. I'll do that when. And we just get into that habit, and then we get into those conversations at church, at work, at other places where it's everybody's saying that same thing. And
Yeah.
so we don't recognize that we're agreeing with something that our heart says, I have this dream. And we just keep putting it on the back shelf and going. And after a while, you just kind of become numb to it, I think, until you really sit back and have, like, again, have some time with yourself and realize, what do I really, really desire?
Mhm.
What is my heart saying? This is my dream. And what baby steps, big steps, any steps can I take towards that dream?
Right.
Um, and so I don't know if it's avoidance or if it's just we're following the cultural norm of whatever the environment that we're in and the people we're around, because they're all saying the same thing and doing the same thing because we went to school, we got a good job, we did this, we did that. And really, we never were taught how to manage our finances. We never were taught how to uh, start a business. And so it's an unknown,
Mhm.
right? Until you get older and then you decide, I got to figure this out, right? But then we go, well, I got to take care of my parents. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to make sure my child gets out of college. I've got to, and, but at the same time, they're also seeing what you do. So if you would like something different for them, you've got to do something different so that they see you doing it
Right.
and they follow suit.
You're modeling,
Or at least they have the option. They can go this way, they can go to school and get a good job like I did, or they can start their own business, or they can do both.
they can do both and. It's the both and option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So am
I
I
like,
answering your question? I think I answered it mostly. It's I'm thinking just I don't consider it avoidance, consciously avoiding, maybe subconsciously avoiding. Yeah.
how much does fear factor in? And this is the thing that's really interesting. You may not be able to answer that question because it doesn't sound like that's what you're doing. You are courageous in terms of what you're doing and how you're moving through your life. And so the answers to these questions, you may not be able to answer the same way that someone else could who's not doing
Right.
what you're doing.
Right.
But I'm just, to kind of spur the conversation. And so here we have a comment. For me, it is fear. It is the unknown. I've never seen or known someone else who did it, and she is courageous. And I agree with that. So there's a level of fear, and thanks for adding comments here. Because
Yeah.
if you have comments, put them in there, put them in the chat, because this is actually helping to make the conversation richer. So, I think that fear plays a role for so many people. And it's almost as if, if you don't follow the cultural norms, which is something that you mentioned as well, then it's not just a fear of the unknown, it's also fear of not fitting in some ways, because
Yeah.
everyone else is doing it this way. And if you stand out, you become like the ostrich, you're like the
Yes.
one, everyone's going to ostracize you. They're not going to hang out with you because you seem like the weird person who doesn't do what everyone else does. And I think that there's a place in life where, and let me say this, I don't even have the answer to that, because there's a sense of me, even growing up, where I didn't care what people thought. I was going to do my thing no matter what.
Yes. My experience with you is you always just do it. And you just do it, and you help other people do it too. Like
And help other people do it. Yeah.
you push them off the ledge like you did me in
Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah. But push you off the ledge, but hold on to you, and hold on to the back of your shirt so you don't fall off, without a parachute.
But you make it fun at the same time. So
Yeah, exactly. That's the adventure of it all, to me.
yeah.
Anyway, so when you're looking at this, and like I said, you may not be able to answer it. And so I saw that there's fear of the unknown, but are there other places in your life where you have experienced fear about something that was coming, and how were you able to navigate that?
Sometimes it's talking through things with my husband and him pointing it out and going, that sounds like fear to me. Do we live in that space? And I'm like, I'm offended at first, of course.
Yeah.
and, and then I have to think about it and go, okay, I think you're right. So what do you suggest? And then I'll go do my thing and do my me time and get away and really process it and go, okay, so if it's fear, is it fear of what? What am I fearing is going to happen?
Mhm. Mhm.
And where did I get that from?
Right. So again, you're
Um,
talking about what you believe, what you think, and where
mhm.
it's showing up.
And then I'm looking for, okay, well, somebody's had to have done it, who can I talk to? And that's where your coaching and mentoring comes in. And so in corporate America, I'm like, okay, I know I may not have done this before, but I see this person over here do that. I'm gonna go have a conversation with them, right? And pick their brain.
Mhm.
And then go, okay, so why was I afraid to say that? Why was I afraid to do that?
Mhm.
Uh, who told me to be afraid of that?
Right.
Nobody.
Right. And so this is also a good idea. I should discuss it more with my husband. He is supportive. And there's something to be said about that, because it sounds like you guys have supportive husbands. For people who don't have husbands or don't have supportive husbands even, it to me underscores the need to have a support network, a network
Yes.
of people that you can run ideas by, who are coming in alignment with you on your vision, and who are also able and willing to tell you the truth. Not so much that I have to tell you that it can't be done, but who can say, like even like your husband said, that sounds like fear. That's someone who's a truth teller for you, right?
Yeah, for
And you
sure.
know that he is supportive in what he's doing and what he's saying. So it's not like you're trying to avoid having his input.
True.
Yeah. So, huh, what else do you want to share? So as you're modeling this, let me say this, as you're modeling this for your children,
Hmm.
what is their response and their reaction to what you're doing?
Um, I was talking to my oldest one day, and she said, "Well, isn't that what you tell your clients, Tiffany? Mom, don't you tell them that?" And I'm like, "Dang, they are listening, right?"
Imagine that. They're
I
listening.
know, right? And it was heartwarming because I was like, "Hey, dang, I didn't even know she was listening." I mean, I really didn't know because I'm doing my coaching, I'm doing that. And she was like, "But don't you tell your client, would you let your clients do something like that?" Like, no, no, I wouldn't. So it's good to see that they hear it, even though it's not directed at them, and they are navigating their journey,
Yeah.
right? And they're not just looking at one path, they're looking at different avenues. And they know that they have my support. They
Mhm.
have our support, right? Um, and we talk through them. And some things I'm like, okay, so let's look at the bigger picture of this, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure about that space. I'm not sure about you being there that late at night because of this, and this, right? And so it's your choice, but just be mindful and be aware of your surroundings when you're doing it, those kind of things. So,
So
uh,
Daphne says following her own advice is hard. And I think that's for everyone. It's like it's fine for you to dispense it, but to take it back, you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't ask you to give me that. But
but it felt good because I was like, yep, yep, she's right. I couldn't argue with her.
right, exactly.
I couldn't
Exactly.
be upset. All I could do was laugh and feel joy inside, because even if the people that I'm talking to when I'm on social media or when I'm out at events or speaking or whatever aren't hearing me, it starts at home,
Yeah.
right? It starts at home. So, and they're hearing me.
And they're hearing you, right? And those are the
And
most,
that's legacy.
that's legacy. Now, we're talking about legacy. I'll tell you, I have friends who are AKAs, and I just want to mention this because I know y'all are on the call, line sisters, okay? But I just want to say that one of my friend's mother has been an AKA for 75, is it 75 years? I think she said 75 years. So she was a diamond. So, and it was amazing to see how many she has 3 daughters who are now AKAs, one who was 50 years, one who was 30 years, one's like 10, and then nieces. And it's like they just spread out and friends, people, because she was a school teacher, people that she had taught who now, and they all go back to how she became that, she was that person for them that kind of represented, whatever that made them decide that this was a path that they wanted to go in. And so when you're talking about legacy, you also have to think about it doesn't just start and end with your family, but depending on how you
Mhm.
show up, it expands out. And
Yep.
so when you're thinking about that, what kind of legacy do you feel that you're leading or leaving for your family, your community, your loved ones, people that don't really know you, even your clients, your coaching clients, your employees at your job? What's the legacy that you are intending, and what do you think they're hearing?
So when we went to Detroit the last time,
Mhm.
it really hit me the importance and value of legacy. I know we talk about in sororities and fraternities, we talk about legacy, my legacy, but it's more than that, right? It's that what I call untouchable legacy, that you imparting to them that no one can take away. And for me, that's showing up and being the best version of me. And so me and my sisters, I have two sisters, they're both younger, so I'm the oldest.
Mhm.
And we started, I said, you guys, we really need to get together more often. I know we're in 3 different states, but we need to get together more often. So now we do once a week, we do a Zoom call and we get together and we just talk. Mom comes on sometimes, but she doesn't always. She's like, I'll get on when I feel like it. And so we were like, okay, whatever. You're almost 80. You can do whatever you want, Mom.
Right, right.
But I really saw the impact of being the best version of yourself when we were in Detroit the last time and talking to Melissa's sister.
Mhm.
And it really, really hit me there that this is bigger than just me and my 5 children and my husband,
Mhm.
because she changed the life of her sister
Yeah,
and her other sister.
right.
And that's valuable because that's one of the things that really drove me to get through college, to do all the things that I did, because I wanted to make sure that if nothing else, I could help take care of them if I needed to. Because
Right,
I see what my mom went through as a single mom.
right. And let me give a caveat background for everyone who's hearing her talk about Melissa, and you don't know who Melissa is. Melissa, we used to have the same coach. And with the coach, we've traveled, we've done some things. Melissa has produced a brandumentary. It's a brand documentary. I was in it. Tiffany came. Because she had what is it? A showing? What is the
What is it
whatever?
called? An opening,
Yeah, when you first do it for
viewing.
the first
Yeah, the
time.
first viewing of it.
Yeah, so we all went to Detroit and we went there, and it was really interesting, very, very touching to see what she talks about, our coach Melissa, and how it shaped so many people in her family. And that's what Tiffany's referring to with her sisters, because she influenced them too. And some of the decisions she made was a directly impacted her sister. So that's what we're referring to with Melissa, just FYI, so you know who it is. Um, so what does it take for you to be the best version of yourself?
I think the first thing, it's always about decision. I will. I
Mhm.
will. It's a decision word. And my husband taught me that. Um, and I used to use it, but I didn't really get it until we really dialogued about it.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I will. That's an action. I will do it. And
Yeah, it's more than just an action. It's taking ownership of something, and
mhm,
you're committing to something when you say I will. It's a commitment, basically, is what
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, now I lost your question. Woo.
So did I, because that's a
Yes, it is definitely a
declaration.
declaration.
And
Definitely.
commitments. I'm owning up to this particular commitment. Whatever I put behind that word, I will. So let me ask you something about your husband, because you mentioned him. You've mentioned him several times, and
Okay.
it's endearing to hear you talk about him like this. As a support person, as a supportive person, where did he get his sense of his ability to support you in the way that he's supporting you without feeling threatened, and I'm doing this in quotes, threatened by your success or what you're doing or the fact that you're expanding your role and your perception of what's possible for you and even for your family as a result of what you're doing. Where's he getting this internal? Because there's something in him that allows him to do it. All men can't. So where's this coming from for him?
I think it's just the way he was raised. His mom and dad. That's all I got. And he's comfortable in who he is.
Mhm.
He has no question about that. So I don't know. I mean, that's all I got.
Okay. I mean, I think it's wonderful. What I think is really, really impressive is that you have mentioned how he has supported you as we've had this conversation. And I think that that is valuable to have that level of support with someone that you are connected to as as significantly as a spouse. And so I just want to say kudos to him and kudos to you both, because you're able to maintain this relationship that allows you to be supportive to each other. With that being said, now with the children, trying to see if there was another message there, with the children and everything else that's going on, how are your children internalizing working mom's dream?
I've never really asked. I don't know. I know that they know I'm doing it, but I don't know how much of it. I know my husband talks to them about it every now and again, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And what's next for you with Working Mom's Dream? Now, let me ask you, what's next for you personally? What's next for you professionally? Because you still have a job. And then what's next for Working Mom's Dream?
Let's see, professionally, you and I had this conversation last week or the week before. I have been asking the question to myself is it time to move? Because I always know when it's time to move. And I did that a couple of weeks ago. And as I was driving, I was leaving, I had some blood work done. And I was leaving there, passing by a facility that was right down the street from it. And I thought, maybe there, right? But it's another healthcare company.
Mhm.
And I thought that it just made my stomach tighten up, like, yeah, that's not it. So I'm like, okay, so if it is time to move, what is it then? And I just pondered it, and I went on to my little coffee shop and I started journaling like I do when I have all these questions going through my head, and I did. And as I was sitting there, I knew I had to be back by a certain time. So I kept checking my phone. And when I checked my phone, I had a friend reach out to me and asked me if I would be interested in um, a certain position. And I just had to laugh because I just asked the question, right? I wasn't talking to anybody. There was nobody in the car with me. It was just that was where I was feeling. And every time I felt like that, I knew it was getting close to time to do something different. So it may or may not materialize. I am open to the possibility. And it may be that, it may be something else. And so that's kind of how I navigate the professional, right? So I'm always looking at the environment that I'm in and learning the cues. I've gotten really good at learning the cues. And not everybody does that, but I'm thankful that I've been able to do that and move at just the right time every time. What's next for me is doing more and getting more visible with Working Mom's Dream in terms of speaking engagements and coaching new clients. And we are coming upon it's Mother's Day, this month. You said it's the month of moms, and
Mhm.
you've got a lot of mommy stuff going on, I saw in your
Mhm.
social media.
Mhm.
For me, I'm going to be interviewing 24 working moms this year. And
Awesome.
so I'll be putting out a questionnaire this month to anyone who wants to be in our Facebook group. and be interviewed and have that dialogue to share with other working moms, to encourage and to motivate and to say, hey, these are the good things, these are the not so good things. This is what I learned. This is where I'm going. This is where I've been, but I'm still dreaming, right? And this is what it took for me to keep dreaming. So we will be doing that. So on my Facebook page, I'll post it there. I'll post it on LinkedIn, and I'll post it in the Dream Again Facebook group. So, and I'll probably post it on my personal Instagram. I'm like, what is that thing called?
So your Facebook group is Dream Again?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And it's for moms, and you may be, like you said earlier, you may be a new mom, a mom to be, you may be an empty nest mom. You may be a mom of a blended family that never had children, but you're still the mom, right?
Yeah.
You may be, I don't like the word stepmom, but some people use it. I don't like it because you're either the
Bonus,
mom or
bonus mom.
bonus mom. I love that. I've heard you say that before.
Mhm.
Bonus mom, bonus dad.
Yeah.
And so it's for those working moms who really want to desire to figure out, how do I fit my dream into my life, right?
I like that. I like that. What I also noted is that what I think is so helpful with you is that you're sensitive to yourself. You are very aware of yourself in a way that allows you to pay attention when you're getting nudges to do something else, to pay attention to something else, to consider asking different questions that will allow you to see what else is possible for you. And I think that is, it takes a level of trust to know when to ask the right questions, or to recognize that when certain things are coming up for you, it's a sign that you need to do something. And not only do something, but trust the guidance that you're getting so that you follow the answer that you're getting. And I think that we all have space where we can build out that kind of trust within ourselves. We have more room to do that. And it's interesting. To me, it's encouraging to hear that you're so trusting of yourself. And I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So I want to ask the question, if anyone on the call wants to ask a question, you want to come on mute, you want to ask Tiffany something directly, by all means you can, or you can put your questions in chat as we're winding down. I also want to say, this has been good, Tiffany.
It's always good with Tonya because you're a great host.
Thank you. Thank you. What I love is, for those of you who haven't been on the Courageous Conversations Fireside Chats before, they're conversations. I mean, some things we talk about, people struggle with. They don't want to talk. They've never had a conversation about it before. And I think there needs to be a space, which is what we're doing here, but there needs to be a space for those kinds of conversations that we kind of put on the back burner, or we hold them internal to us, but we don't really allow ourselves to share. And I think that's the intention of the Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat community. So with that, I want to see if anyone wants to share. If so, just raise your hand and I'll take you off mute so that you can actually share. And if not, though, I want to ask Tiffany if you have any final things that you want to share. Before you do that, how else can people find you? We know that you have a Dream Again Facebook group. What's your Instagram?
Oh, I think it's just Tiffany Broadous. I haven't I just started using the Instagram, so it's Tiffany Broadous. And then my Facebook page is Working Mom's Dream.
Mm-hmm.
And my website is workingmomsdream.com.
All right. All right. So, and okay, I got you in there. So any final things you want to share?
For me, just thank you for having me. Thank you to my line sisters for showing up and joining us. I think you'd really love some of her talks if you come back again. They're always here on once a month at the beginning of the month, right?
Yeah.
So it's just been fun. I loved it. Last month was amazing. I totally enjoyed it.
Yes.
It was one of those taboo topics
That's
for
the
some
topic.
people,
Yeah.
but it was so juicy. It was so good.
It was,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I had a
um,
great guest. And like I said, next month it's we're celebrating Black Music Month. I have a music producer, a DJ, he's a musician, the whole 9 yards. He's going to be our guest first Saturday of June. And then in July, I actually have a person. It's a different when you talked about a taboo topic, it's going to be kind of in line with that too. It's also and mostly because this year I really wanted to focus on empowerment. It's beyond time for us to be afraid of living our lives and living our dreams, because the truth is we only have one life. We're gonna have to enjoy where we are right now. There's no need of getting to the end of life and feeling like, oh, I wish I could have done. You could do it right now. We're giving you permission to do it now. We're giving you the tools so that you know that it's possible for you to do whatever it is you want to do. We're giving you the support. That's what we're doing here. That's what this is about. And the intention is that you take it and you run with it and you live this life that you've always dreamed of. That's the whole point of
yes,
it. You live the life that you've
yes.
always dreamed of.
You create it.
Yeah.
You will it, you decide,
Yep.
and once we recognize that we have that opportunity, that we have that power, that we have that choice, you can do it.
You can do anything. You can do anything.
And it took me a minute to get there. So, and there's still some areas I'm still kind of, you know, you have that retracement, you're like, okay, I'm there. And then but you're getting closer and closer to it, even though you have that retracement back. It's like, when you're trying to lose weight and you go down and then you come up a little. I've got to my midterm 130 goal weight, but I went back up to 35, but I'm back down to 131.
Mhm.
So same with all this. It's learning and growth, but just do it.
Just
Just
do it.
be.
This is
What
that
did
life.
what it was the title of this? What did you call it?
Stop waiting. It's time for
Yes.
you. It is time.
It's past time. Just do it.
Past time. Yes, yes, yes. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, whoever else is on, I just want to say thank you so much for participating. I
Thank
appreciate
you, Daphne. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you,
Thank you,
Melvina, for
Melvina.
showing up.
Yes, yes. And so I just want to say, everybody have a great day. Enjoy your Mother's Day, which is next weekend. I'm sure all of you will stop waiting and start taking baby steps. Absolutely. That's how you start.
Yes,
Eat
so
the elephant one
true.
bite at a time. And hopefully you'll join again next month. And let me say something for those of you who join. If you want to join and be on all access, you don't have to register every single time, but you can certainly join and you just get the notifications when the next one comes up. All right. With that being said, everyone, take care. Have a great Mother's Day to all of you and be blessed. Bye for
Thank you,
now.
Tanya.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.